back to codeglancer.com. I am Sudhir and I am very happy to announce today I am going to integrate the Cucumber framework with my ongoing Spring Boot tutorial interview scheduler app. So please feel excited and get ready to learn how to write the integration test case, mostly the behavior driven test case, which is also called BDD framework. So Cucumber is very famous for writing the behavior driven test cases, not only in Java but other frameworks like Groovy as well as the Python. But today I am going to discuss about Cucumber integration in Java Spring Boot application. So let's start today's video. Thank you for watching this and please stay tuned till the last of the video so that you can get step by step explanation how you can integrate Cucumber with the Spring Boot app. Let's start the video now. So now I have come to my screen where I am going to explain you the steps. So basically, as I have written like a Cucumber test case, so this is a testing framework. It is used to write a BDD test case. So these are the steps to integrate Cucumber in your Spring Boot application. So first step is the add the Cucumber related dependencies and create the feature file for the controller class. Don't bother about this terminology. I am just going to explain all of these into the detail. And third step is like create the step definition class for the future file scenario. So whatever the feature file you are creating, for that we have to write the step definition. And fourth one is like create the Cucumber runner class. So these are the using four step you can integrate your application. Okay, so in the first step, like what is this? So this is like Maven dependency. If you are using the Maven or Gradle, so based on that you have to write the dependency. So let us discuss about that, right? So here first of all we have a Cucumber hyphen Java. So this is a first dependency of the Cucumber. Then we have a Cucumber core and Cucumber JUnit. So these are the dependencies you have to add in your application pom.xml file. Second step is like create a feature file for each controller. So let's say you have a controller method and for that controller you have to create one feature file. So feature file structure I will show you, but what inside the feature file you can see. So let's say you have to create one candidate. In the last video also we have discussed how to create the candidate and what are the API for that. So let's say I have a slash candidate which takes the post request like this. Okay, so here first of all in the feature file you have to write feature and name of the feature. So this is like candidate controller API, and then we have to write the background. So in background, like if anything is common, so let you can have a multiple scenario consider as a test case, right? So let's say I am going to create a candidate. So this is one my test case. So if there are multiple test case and something is common, then you have to write in the background like this, like unique email ID. So my candidate, whenever I am going to create, like I need a unique email ID, otherwise like my application will throw unique constraint violation exception, because two cannot exist with the same email ID. That's why there is some expression written. So what is this feature background and scenario? So feature is like start into the feature file, then background is written so that you can write everything under this, and this is like you have to give space and properly so that there will not be any mistake. And then you have to write a scenario is nothing but test case name, then given. So you must be familiar with the TDD framework like JUnit and all, where we have a when, then, and given concept. Same is here also. So given, the something is given here. So in this case, this is a empty, and then when. So what is when? When a post request is made to slash candidates. Okay, so this is the URL with the following JSON request. So what is the JSON request? This. Then what I am expecting? So I am expecting the HTTP status code to be 201, and right. So this is then, and then, and so then this is also like whenever this request is made. Okay, so response HTTP status code should be 201, and then I have to validate like this response, so the response would be also the same. All right. So this is one scenario which is explained here, how to create the feature file for any post API. So if you have any post method, then you can create like this. Okay. Now what is the third steps, right? So in the third step, we have to write the step definition file and implement those methods. Okay, so I will explain you later in this video. And then we so basically here is the step definition you can write, see here. So candidate controller step definition. So if you see here, we have first given and when. So what is given? So first given we have written in the background, basically background. So this is whatever we write here, that is considered as a given, and then we have another given is here, right? So if you see here, there are two given here written, given and given, right? So given the candidate API is available. So this is a dummy method as I told you. And then given def unique email ID. So this is taking two string parameter and just concatenating these two string with one unique identifier. Okay. Then we have written for the another method. So if you go to here, right, we have, first of all, we have a when, we have a given, and then we have a when. So for this when, what should be the proper code? So for this when, like, you have to implement a proper post request here. Okay. So if you see this class, so I have to call some REST API. That's why I have auto wire a REST template, and then HTTP headers we have, response entity we have, object mapper I have taken, and unique email ID. So these are some instance variable I have taken, and there are some few methods here. So when post method is made, right? So if you see here, when post method is made, so there is a request payload is going here. So if you see here, this request payload is going here. So that's why in your function, if you see here, there is one endpoint, so slash candidate, and then one is the JSON request payload, right? So this is currently hard coded here, like HTTP localhost 8081 slash endpoint is slash candidate. And then in the whatever the request body is coming, so with request body I am just generating one email, unique email ID, and replacing with that. And if you see, like, setting the headers and all, and then I have a JSON request which is a string, so I am converting into the basically candidate DTO. And after doing all, I am just creating one HTTP request entity, and with the response in and REST template or post for entity. So this is the URL, and request entity whatever you have created, and then string dot class is my return type as a coming. Okay. So with this is now completed. So if you see here, another thing is like if you see here, I am expecting 201 as a, I am expecting what? I am expecting 201 as a HTTP status code here. All right. If you see here, 201 as a HTTP status code. So that implementation also I could have written, but somehow I forgot to write. I will show you like how you can write. Okay. And then in the last statement we have a and, right? So if you see here, we have a and then response should contain the following JSON. So this I have to somehow compare, right? So if you see here, so like the response should contain the following JSON. So if you see here, like we are getting the expected JSON. So from JSON body, I am creating the actual candidate DTO like what I have got earlier, and then expected candidate DTO. So for the assertion part, I am just asserting the name, not the other thing. Okay. So this is a pretty simple example for showing this. And the fourth step is like writing the runner class. So using this you can run. So this is having basically two annotation. One is at the rate run with, and here you have to write the cucumber that class. This is coming from the cucumber framework. And then cucumber option. So what is the features file? So you have to give the feature file path basically. So only you have to give the feature file path if it is having more than one file. So that's why it will take all the files here. Then we have a glue. So what is the glue here? So basically whatever the step definition package you have written, so that step definition package, it will come here, and then basically in the target folder it will generate one http report, sorry, html report for you. So you have to give that path so that you can send it to client or someone, so right, so that client can see all of these details. Okay, now come to the code and let's see how it can. So now it's time to run the test case and see the result. So let's come to what I have done the changes basically. So I will again quickly explain. So this is the test package, and inside the test package we have created the feature file. So my feature file something look like this. So so my feature file is something like this, as I explained you earlier. So here is a feature and then background scenario. So all of these are given here. All right. And then I have written another feature. Basically first feature or first test case, you can say like it is create trying to create one controller through the post request. And then in the second scenario or test case, we have like we want to get one candidate which is non-existing candidate, because I have not created any candidate in the database with this email ID. All right. So let's see if I have to run this, what are the things I have to do it. And earlier also I have told you like I have added in form.xml these dependencies. So basically again I am showing you in the code here. And then this is the feature file. First step was to write this one, then add the feature file, and then add the step definition. So this is the actual step definition added here basically. Okay, so this and so this is the actual step definition added. You can just go through this, and today I am going to give you the code also so that you can clone it and use it for your reference. All right, so now let's time to run this application. Okay, so now, so when I am going to run this application, what will happen, let's see. So if you see here, like in the step definition I have given to run the application on like I have given localhost colon 8081, but uh, when it is trying to hit it, all right, like when it is trying to run, it is not able to find. Okay, like connection is getting refused because there is no method or no server or Tomcat server running on 8081. Okay, so there are two ways to basically fix this issue. One is like you run your main application and then run your test case. Another one is by creating the mock, but in this video I am not going to create the mock server and show you. So in this video I am going to start my application, spring scheduler application, on port 8081. How you can see, like if you go to my application.yaml file, 8081 is given here. Okay, so let's run this now. So once the application is running, I can fire the command and basically I can see it. Okay, so let's wait for the application to complete it. So to just show you, there is one feature file basically here, and this feature, second feature, I have not done coding, so I will do the code in front of you, just to explain you. So if you see here, we have a scenario. Scenario name is get candidate by email not found, and given the candidate API is available, and is like no candidate with email exist. When a get request is made to slash candidate slash this, and the status expected is like 404 not found. All right, so this is one of the scenario written as a feature file. Okay, so these are generally written by the BA or non IT guy, like who does not know the coding and all. Okay, so if you see, my application is now running. Okay, so once my application is running, I have to start my test case. All right, So if I have to start my test case, I can come here and I can just right click, or here we have a run button. Alright, and then if you click on run button, so this is going to run. Okay, so now if you see, something is passing and something is failing. So first of all, scenario, whatever we have written, create scenario, create a candidate. So inside the create candidate we have written some step definition, so all of these are executing. And if you see, it is trying to hit http colon localhost 8081 slash candidates, and these are the accept and writing. Okay, so if you see here, it is text class plain and then JSON it is accepting, and this is the basically candidate payload I am sending. So if you see, ID is going null, name is John, address is Fraser, email ID user, and then some unique string at gmail.com, and these are some other detail which is going as a request payload. Okay, and then it is saying response as a 201 created. Okay, and then whatever the bunch of validations we have written, and those are getting passed. All right, so this is working as expected, but as I told you earlier, like we have written some features. Okay, but for these we do not have written the steps. That's why there is a error coming here, like these two are not written. All right, so let's implement these two. So this is the beauty of Cucumber framework. When you write the feature file and if you try to run it, okay, so you will get like these steps are not written. So generally whatever the feature file is there, this will be written by the BA, and when it comes to developer like us, we have to write this step definition. So now let's write this step definition. Okay, so now I have just copied this one, and I will go to the candidate controller step def, and I will just paste it here. Okay, and now if you see here, we have a string as one of the input coming, so that given candidate email ID. So let's say here I am just going to okay, so basically if you do not give also, it is not going to harm anything, because we have hard coded the string. So for the time being we can just print the string. Okay, sys out. Okay, so whatever the string is, like email, existing email, non existing email. Okay, and then right, so with this email ID we have to call the APIs, right? So when get request is made, so how will you make the get request, right? So if you see here, we have to send all of these in very similar way. So I'm just going to write all of this here. Okay, so this time we do not have a body. Okay, and here we have a email ID, right? So this email ID we have slash candidate, slash candidate, plus we have this email ID. After this we have this email ID here. Okay, so this time this is a get, so we do not need all of these. All right, so this is not going to be post method, so this is going to be get for entity, and in get for entity we do not need to write this, so only the URL, and this is required basically. and let's say, so now if you come here, what I am expecting 404. Okay, so for this, so if you see here, here we have written one then, right? So very similarly we have to write one more then, so that we can validate whatever is coming. So you can write any method name. So I'm just writing this one. Name of this and get bid 404. So this is like print status, right? So what will happen? Now we have to write some assertion. So how will you write the assertion? So using this mocktutor dot assert assertion, we can write it like assertion dot assert equal. So what is expected here? We are expecting 404, right? And then this is going to be status. Okay. So now with this, let's again run this and see if it is running fine or it is having still lazy. Okay, so some response code 404, get request to slash candidate slash this. So what is the issue coming now? So it is saying no path because we have given two times slash candidate slash candidate. Okay, so if slash candidate is given two times, so we have to remove one time. So where we have to remove, let's see. I think the is email ID, whatever the input is coming, it is having all. So no need to write both. It is having slash email ID and slash candidate slash email ID. So let's once again run this. So when you are doing the coding, it is obvious like you will get some exception and error. So you have to just read those exceptions and error and whatever the desired behavior you want. So all of those you have to write. All right. So now if you see 404 and candidate not found status is this. Okay, so this is the exception, actual exception now coming. Okay, but still in our step it is somehow failing or something is happening. So how will you debug this, right? So now let's come to our class. Okay, response in tt. So here if you see, we have a response entity, right? So response entity dot, if you see the get status code, so how much it is going to come. So status code it will give you, and then even assertion. So what you can write like this one you can write here, assertion and then http status. Okay, and then one more thing you can write. So we have a rest entity dot right? Get body. Okay, so what is the body coming currently when we are running? So this string completely also we can write it, or okay, so we can have a not null or something, not null, and yeah. So I'm not going to compare the string because I have to convert it. So let's once again run this. So which one is failing currently? Not status code is 404. Let me see the feature file. Status in 404. Okay, so let's debug this now so that we can see if where is the problem occurring. Okay, so now if you see here, so this is coming to get request control, and if we go one by one, I got it like this is the response is coming as a array, it is not coming as a string type, and here it is failing. Okay, so this is the issue, I guess. Okay, so what I can do, I can go here and I can put the cursor here, and from here I can create, right? So now we are able to find it like what is the error basically. Okay, so how, what will be the temporary fees, right? Like we can write here object. Okay, so if you write here object, this response entity is declared here as a string, right? So again there can be one issue. So instead of writing this one here as a response entity, I can just use another response entity here as a variable, alright, and this one I can give as an object. Okay, so this made here some change. So it was like a string, so now it is object. Okay, so once again let's run this and see what is happening now. Alright, so something is still failing. Basically there is some exception coming on. So if you see, the exception type is http client error, not found exception. So how do we deal this one? Okay, so now let's come to here. Okay, so if you come to here, the exception part is here. Okay, so if you want to see it, like let's debug it and I can show you this one. So sometimes we have to face the exception and then we have to find it like how it is working. So if you see here, like the step is stopped, and if I copy this and go to the evaluator, and if I evaluate this, the exception is coming, right? And if you want to see the exception, what is the exception type? So this is the exception type coming. Okay, so how do we deal in this case? So in this case, like we have to put this block in try and catch. Okay, so let's say I am writing the try this and then catch. Okay, so what is the type of exception it was throwing? So if you come and see here, okay, I think I have to again evaluate this so that I'll get the exact exception, and same thing I can copy and paste. Okay, so if you see here, this is the exception, http client not found. Okay, so I am just, this is the way to basically solve any problem if you face immediately. So you go here and you put here, and instead of dollar, basically you have to put dot and then ex exception variable, then do the import. And now, okay, so when this is going to call, this exception is coming. So what this exception will have, this is http exception, so it must have ex dot get status code. So we can get the status code here. All right, and then ex dot get response as a string is also there. Okay, so now we have to both the things, like response body. So with this, we have a response entity. So with the response entity, we can create new response entity, and we can give the response entity comma a status code here. Okay, so if you see this one, right? So if you see here, what will happen? So whenever there is exception, I am creating the response entity with the failed payload as a string, and then whatever the status code is coming. Okay, so we have to write like this. Okay, all right. So let's again run this. This is already running mode, so I have to just restart on this cucumber test, and let's see. Probably this should work. If not, we will see like what next error is coming. Okay, so something error is there, but this time a little bit different things has come. So values should be different. Actual 404. Okay, so whatever the here we are doing, so let's remove this. Okay, so these two are anyway I am not going to assert. So now let's see what is coming, because status code I am validating as part of next line, right? Like 404. So let's see in the then condition what is coming. So reload it. Oh, boom. So now this time it is working. So if you see here, generally, so if you see here, status code should be 404. Here I have written, and then here the response status should be 201, right? And the response status should be 404. So the methods look similarly uh, for the previous steps also, and that method we have written here, right? So if you write with the same method, it can give you the duplicate. So the better way can be just to write the same one, but do the validation like this. Let's try this if it is working or not. It should work actually, so that we will have the only one method which will serve the steps in both the both cases. Okay, So expected status code, the function name should be, and then we can place it here. Okay, but if you go and see, so whatever we have written here, right, so that should be written here as well. Only thing is like this 404 will come, and now this, at last whatever we have written, we are just going to comment this because this is not needed. Okay, now let's run this once again. So let's hope like it works this time. So let's load this one. Oh great, so this time it is working. So I am just summarizing it. So in the first one I have written the post call to create the candidate, and 201 is the http status code expecting, and this is the body I'm expecting. And second, I am giving some non-existing candidate id, and I am expecting to come as a 404 as a http status code. Okay, so this is implemented as part of the step definition. Okay, so this is now not needed. All right, so now let me see like how many file I have to commit basically. So if I go to the version control, I have these many files to commit, but YAML file I'm not going to commit. So what I have to do, like I will select all of these files. Okay, and I'm going to commit this commit file.